Hello everyone, welcome to an analysis of dance, where we discuss the movements and debuts of the Billboard Hot Dance charts in immaculate detail, with in-depth reviews of each debut each week. If last week felt like a cool down, this week came to prove it completely wrong because my god, this is one of the quietest weeks I've covered in recent memory. I mean, I definitely called Martin Garrix impacting, but I also did admittedly forget that there was the Marshmello and Sudden Death collaboration EP, which got one song to chart here, just freaking wonderful. But besides from those, that's it. So yeah, let's just get right into it. And as expected, our number one went to Yes and by Ariana Grande, boosted by the album's impact as a streaming and sales surge, although it is notable that radio absolutely freefalled in this, as We Can't Be Friends is getting pushed as the next single. So that likely means that this will be its last ever weekend number one on this chart, as it will absolutely freefall in the next few weeks. It's had a good run, so I can't really complain. And of course, this means that Houdini by Dua Lipa at number 2 is likely going to comfortably take back number 1, although it is notable that radio did fall on this one too, although it is much slower and is much stronger there. And with streaming and sales still strong, yeah, this is going to stick around. But what I can actually see being a challenger in the future is Dua Lipa's other single of Training Season at number 3, where it's getting an absolutely massive push towards radio, and really, considering the streaming and sales are also good on this one, it's probably going to rebound and take back that number 1 spot. But what also might be a late challenger is Murder on the Dance Floor by Sophie Ellis-Bextor at number 4, where it's absolutely surging on radio as well, and with streaming being okay if a little bit unstable, this is probably going to have a chance of sticking around too. But the big case is that it overtook Strangers by Kenya Grace at number 5, and this doesn't really surprise me considering streaming's starting to fall back and radio has long rotated this one out. I am curious if that new Kenya Grace album can actually make some impact on this chart and give this a momentary boost. We'll have to see how that comes in the next 2 weeks. But for now, it holds up over Contigo by Karol G and Tiesto at number 6. Thank God, as the streaming just won't fucking die for it. Just wonderful. And also as expected, Whatever by Kygo and Ava Max rebounded to number 7, as the streaming is also pretty solid on this, although with no radio, I don't see this getting any higher. But what really surprised me though, Von Dutch by Charlie XCX actually managed to hold steady in the top 10 at number 8, where it's got considerable streaming still behind us, and even if sales did fall back expectedly, as you'd think coming off of the debut from last week, the fact that this is actually stable is a little bit disappointing considering it's not a very good song, and In the Sea deserved this push way better, to be honest with you. And speaking of bafflingly steady songs, we also had Insane by Black Griffin and Basic rebounds to the top 10 at number 9, where the streaming is absolutely huge on this and sales are still holding pretty damn strong. I mean, it's just weird that people are still on board with Has Been Hotel to the point where a fan-made song from 2021 is able to hold really damn steady here, and more importantly, that's actually overtaking Shiver by John Summer and Halo at number 10. Although I will say that one's also surprising that it's sticking around. I did not expect a song that great to be sticking in the top 10 for this long, but I can't complain. But if you want the real wins of this chart, it came in our falls and fall-offs, and honestly, I cannot complain about a majority of these. I mean, our big one is Dream by Marshmello, Pink and Sting finally exiting after 20 weeks and sticking around way longer than it really should have. It's gonna comfortably make the year-end list. Just fucking wonderful. But along with that, we also saw Hypnotic Data by Oda Core featuring Oda Tari finally exits, which alongside Wet Dreams underperforming means that Oda Tari is completely gone from this chart for the time being. Good, that is long overdue. And again, like last week, I can't complain about the falls either. I mean, yes, you had your sadly expected fall off the big gains last week for Stay In It by Fred Again, Lil Yachty and Overmoney down at 25, and Dance You Out of My Head by Kat Janice's continuing to exit naturally at 28, but that latter one has made the year-end list, so I can't be too upset about it there. But more importantly, it came with 42 by Diplo and Mara Morris falling down to 38, as it finally seems to be exiting naturally. Same deal with Vocation by Azuna and David Guetta at 41, and most pleasingly, Down by Jason Derulo and David Guetta Ali crashed down to 46, as it probably will be gone next week. And my god, I'm glad that it finally underperformed and is starting to absolutely freefall. It's not good at all. But what really says more about this week, again, we had more comebacks than debuts here, and honestly, just like last week, these comebacks are really damn promising. I mean, the weakest of these is probably Head Down by Lost Frequencies and Bastille returning at the very bottom at 50, a song that's had a, quite frankly, weird chart run, although it has grown on me a little bit, I will admit that. But alongside that, we also got Echo by Rascal Rapier and Juliet Klein finally rebounding yet again to 40, as it's likely going to have a really weird run going forward. And most pleasingly, I've Been In Love by Jungle featuring Channel Trays rebounding to 47, as it looks like Jungle has gotten a considerable amount of momentum recently across the world, and with the streaming remaining really damn strong for this and Back on 74 also gaining on the hot rock charts still, this is probably going to end up sticking around. mind. That's a good thing, it's a great song. But those jumps, unfortunately, I'm not too wild about these. I mean, I'm not exactly complaining that Paranoia by Ken Tenchi is continuing to surge up to 32. This might actually be a breakbeat here, and that's absolutely welcome for this chart. But along with that, we also got Faster and Harder by Barely Human somehow surging off the debut to 24, as it's probably going to end up sticking around and annoying the piss out of me. And most bafflingly, Got Me Started by Troye Sivan rebounded to 16, as it seems to have gotten a big streaming and sales week with no remixes in sight. Seriously, what is the momentum behind this song? It's not all that good, let's be real. But since we only got 2 debuts this week, fuck it, we're bringing back non-eligible knockers, and what not better than to talk about this act who just released their new album a few days ago. And really, with this particular song, it should have been way bigger than it is. Okay, so this one kind of makes sense why it didn't really cross over in 2019. PNAU didn't really have a huge amount of footing in the States just yet. Go Bang barely did anything on the charts here, and with this particular song being much more on the world music influences, featuring Kira Devine's distinctly African vocals, I'm also not really all that surprised that it wasn't able to cross over, which is kind of a shame because, I'll be honest, this is probably my favourite song that PNAU has made today, or at least up there with Changes. The hook is absolutely stunning as Kira Devine's distinct hollering vocals really do sound pretty over this sort of spacious disco production. Definitely helped by Marques Toliver on the verses, who has a deeper and richer vocal tone that really worked for me. And when the mix gives them so much room to breathe, especially with that piano that hits with a ton of emotional weight against a really crisp percussion, it just creates a really nice, relaxing vibe that I absolutely can see why Australia embraced this. God, it just feels sad as someone who used to be a fan of these guys, how much they've fallen off in terms of their production, because stuff like this is absolutely fantastic and really deserved a lot bigger of an audience than what they got in comparison to their new singles. I mean, thank God Australia embraced this. It seemed to be doing really damn well for itself in retrospect, and even made the hottest 100 for 2019, which is another indicator that list that year was absolutely fantastic and way better than the dance charts in 2019 in the US, just saying. But man, this should have been an absolute smash hit everywhere else, as the production is absolutely fantastic and everything about this is catchy and really damn gorgeous. So yeah, absolutely excellent song, and it's definitely worth considering, especially as it's now included on their new album from this year, which is also really damn solid. So yeah, check it out if you're curious. But on to the admittedly much weaker 2 debuts here. Number 37, Empty by Martin Garrix and DubVision featuring Jaimes.
It's empty inside. It's empty inside.
It's a goddamn shame that the IDEM EP didn't really have any sort of impact here, with this being the only charting song from it and not even Carry You coming back. Just fucking wonderful. It's even more unfortunate in this case because, I'll be honest, this is probably the weakest track on the EP for me. I mean, it's not bad. I still mostly really like this, especially with the production sounding really spacious, rich and immersive, and really fitting well against James's vocals, even if he is admittedly a bit anonymous, and the drops do sound really damn nice, as you'd expect our festival progressive house from Martin Garrix here. But I think the weakest part for me is probably that main melody that just feels a bit off and uninteresting for me. I mean, it's not much of a problem on the drops where it does hit quite hard, but on the build-ups where Jaimes goes for more of a minor key approach, it just does not really fit with the rest of the song and does make it a bit more sour than it really needs to. I mean, it's still a solid song. It's nice to see Martin Garrix still go for the festival progressive house sound, but I'll be honest, there's better on this EP. And number 34, Fireball by Marshmello, Sudden Death, and Crown the Empire. Whereas this I have absolutely no use for. It's goddamn boring at this point. There's a reason why this collaborative EP literally did nothing on this chart, because all the songs from it just sound exactly the fucking same. I mean, I'll give them credit, this one does stand out a little bit more, mainly down to metalcore band Crown the Empire delivering a straight metal section in the middle of the song that, while it doesn't sound awful, it's very generic and does not fit with the rest of the song whatsoever, especially with those slow plodding beats that drive across across the rest of the song for more of a dubstep leaning sound that does not work at all. Again, like the other songs, it's lacking melody, it has no groove to speak of, there's nothing remotely interesting or distinct about it, it's just a rinse and repeat, but this time with a metal section in there. And again, that really does not give this more of a pass than it should. I mean, at this point, I literally just do not care. And it's very clear that both of these artists completely phoned it in for this EP, as they know that their names are going to absolutely blow up, but given how little this EP made any sort of splash, yeah, I think the tides are starting to turn against them, and this is not good either, skip it. But the best and worst roll out really easily, because that's literally it. I mean, the best is going to Empty by Martin Garrix and DubVision featuring Jaimes, even if it is the worst on the EP, mainly because in comparison to Fireball by Marshmello, Sudden Death and Crown the Empire, it's in another league of quality, let's be real here. Next week, there is the very real possibility that Porter Robinson's new song could debut early and absolutely cause a massive impact in 2 weeks, so yeah, stay really excited for that, it's absolutely going to be huge. But yeah, that's all for this episode of an analysis of dance, see you next time.